Good morning, everybody. Getting ready to go here. All right. So good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, the 17th of February. We're going to take a look at some assets here this morning before the New York Open and see if we cannot find ourselves a nice setup. Yesterday I got long the pound dollar. We'll talk about that. I got short on the Hilton stock. We'll talk about that. And that's pretty much all I've done this week. So there's not really been a whole lot of stuff going on. Bitcoin is pulling back. I mean, there's nothing else one can say about it. For the last 2 days, you've been pulling back. Yesterday, we did have the Fed minutes, but no speech. And it appears that they are going to indeed hike rates. It's just a matter of when. Now, it's not if. It's a matter of when. But here on this channel, we knew that they were going to hike. We knew since the beginning of this year that there was an 80% chance being priced into the market that we would see a rate hike in March. Now, obviously, there's a 20% chance that it didn't happen, but when your chances are that high, and that's not me pricing that in, that was the CME, they are the ones that were pricing in that rate hike or figuring on it happening. So, looks like it's going to happen. The markets didn't really react to it. Yesterday morning, Bitcoin did have a slight bit of a pop right up into resistance, and then pretty much that's where it stalled out. So we have daily resistance here, and we have, I'm not quite sure what that level is. Let me go out here real quick. Yeah, so I don't know what that level's from. That must be a smaller time frame level. Let's go look. Here's the 8 hour. So maybe it's a 4 hour. Yeah, it was 4 hour support. That's all it was. So that's already gone. You can see that it broke down. So yeah, I mean, you have a bearish engulfing or an outside range candle being printed on the 4 hour time frame. I don't really look at moving averages on anything lower than the daily, so let's get rid of that. As on the daily, the 21 exponential moving average is below price. So, price can pull all the way back down to in this region here, and it would still be structured to the bullish side of things. It's not bullish in the long term on the macro. I guess one could say it is on the macro, but I'm just talking about through this section of price. Once you broke out right here, that was your downtrend breakout. So ever since that occurred, you've been stalling at resistance. We got a nice close above resistance the other day, but it wasn't a strong close. Anytime you close above, though, you have to give credence to that side of the market. So it did close above, so you would be looking for bullish entries on pullbacks. But unfortunately, if you got long yesterday at the very swing low, you've got stopped out. And that happens, right? There is no main level here on the daily to actually give it any kind of support. So when that happens, you go out to the smaller time frames. And you can see right now that you're still kind of floating in midair, even on the 8 hour. So that means it can go lower, right? 4 hour is here. Your next area of resistance is down here. Or you can use this one. It's really close, but that's where it is. So we could potentially see price trade all the way down to here around $42,692. And then maybe it finds support. But will it? That's the thing. I did get long on this, and it's coming back down into my entry. The short side of the trade hasn't really been working either. You notice here on the 4-hour that the price is essentially trading sideways for multiple 4-hour sessions. Then you get a breakdown, then multiple 4-hour sessions, breakdowns. It's just barely. It's like that is what we consider a pullback. It's not bearish, not yet. All right. So is price wanting to come all the way back down here and test these lows? We'll see. It's in the middle of a nowhere area, so there's not any trade to take on Bitcoin currently. Here is a nice breakout on the hourly candle right there. So the midpoint can sometimes offer up support. So that seems to be what's going on here. You're trading, well, you got a low below the midpoint of this breakout candle, but we'll see if that holds. I'm still long. Probably going to hang on to it until I get stopped out, which would mean that I would miss the short. But like I said, the short's not really working that great. I mean, it is working. If you got short up against daily resistance right there, you've basically top ticked that short play. You might want to start really thinking about taking profits though, because once you take out your targets, then price can essentially get back to being range bound and choppy. And you did take out this swing low. So yeah. But good job if you did get short. I would like to take a short entry if it does break down, but I'm going to wait. I have to wait. It's not really acting like it wants to be, back to its going lower, right? It doesn't look like it wants to get back into that daily downtrend. Not yet. So we're going to keep an eye on it. There really is no levels, like I said. So what you can do in a situation like this, since there isn't anything to watch, is I would watch this candle's low. If price takes out that swing low, then I will get a lot more bearish on this really quickly. I won't take a short down here. I will wait for a pullback up into another region of resistance. Then I will look to get short, because once you take this out, what you really have is a trap. Right, you got this close above resistance. This lures in all the bulls, and so far you've just been bleeding slowly down to this candle's open. So if you take out the swing low, then we'll look for bearish entries on it, and you can see that we have plenty of room on the short from up here if it decides to become a short. Right, we won't target this wick low down here on the first initial entry. But you can see that you do have a ton of room. I seen a tweet yesterday. Some guy said that he'd pay anybody that shares that tweet $50 if Bitcoin gets above $46,000. That's just right here. And at the last time when I seen the tweet, he was up to like 600K. So if price gets above that, I wonder if he'll actually pay everybody. That's funny. But he did get a lot of absolutely got a lot of engagement off of that, but he's looking at this to roll over. I don't know who he is. He didn't have many followers, so it's not like he's someone important or anything, but we'll see what happens. I was looking for a yearly open test. We didn't get it. That was very close. That's why I was still looking for it, and it can still happen, right? Bitcoin can absolutely find support down here and get up there and test that yearly open. That yearly open on the Coinbase data feed is $46,211. It might have already been tested on other exchanges. You don't have to have that as a target if you do not want it. It's basically weekly support, old weekly support over here, right? That's basically what it would be as well. It's pulled back for a couple weeks now. This is the fourth week since it made the lows down here of basically going up, but you have found resistance at the weekly as well. So yeah, there is nothing to do on Bitcoin. Absolutely nothing. Just wait. It's in the middle of the range. Wait for that swing low on the daily to be taken out. You are at the weekly region here, so you can find support there. We'll see what happens. Not a very big weekly range, as you can see here. Last week's range was where we got the bullish move higher, and then the pullback. This week, you've been basically trading inside of it. You did take out the swing low at the beginning of the week, right there with that little push lower. So it's not an inside weak candle, but it's trading like it is, right? It's trading like it is. So then we'll be targeting weekly lows or weekly highs for next week if Bitcoin finds support or resistance, I should say. All right, with that being said, let's go over here and look at pound real quick. Discuss this. So yesterday, let me get over here on the hourly. There is a bunch of lines on this chart. Let's get rid of them. So yesterday we were trading in this region right in here, and this is where I got long. So we were basically watching it above the daily open, so it was bullish on the day yesterday. This was a pullback. It pulled back into resistance, old hourly resistance right here. And you can see 3 little tests of it, and then boom, there was that bullish break. I got long on this hourly candle right here, the 8 o'clock one. So I sat in it for a little while. I thought I was going to get stopped out when this was pushing lower, but it stopped and moved higher. That's where my stop was. My stop was right under the wick low of that bearish candle. So it was very, very, very close of getting stopped out. And I'm going to pull you over here to the 5-minute time frame just so you can see how price was reacting around that old hourly resistance. You can see you got multiple 5-minute closes above, 2 little closes under right here. When this happened, it did look like it was going to stop me out, but like I said, it didn't get close enough. So I stayed in it, and boom, there was the breakout. Once we got above the daily high, I started to scale out of the position, and right now you can see that happened right here on this hourly candle. So as this was your daily high, once we got up into this region, that's when I started to peel off profits. Now my stop is setting at break even, and there is a little bit of continuation today, and it looks good. This last night came in, I guess, to freak everybody out, and you're seeing bullish price action on this. Now the reason I brought that up is because you got the same thing going on over here with the euro. All right, this same big ugly downside hourly candle that came in during the Asian session. It is absolutely scary looking. So do I want to get short here? Not quite yet, but it does look like it is working on a potential short side entry. The pound is already above this candle, so the euro can absolutely get above that candle. And your DXY, you can see over here that you are almost at even on the day, and it was bullish on the day. So that means that it is looking lower. That could mean that we'll see. Well, it will mean that the euro will go higher if this thing keeps running lower. Back over here on the euro, let's go out to the daily time frame just so you can see that it is indeed bullish. There is your 21. And there is your exponential. Your RSI. Your 21 exponential moving average is setting underneath price. And so is the 50, or so is the RSI above the 50. So that is structured to the bullish side still. This traded well beneath it. So if you're going to see bearish continuation, and you still might, right there is the daily resistance. It's yesterday's close. So if it's going to hold, if resistance is going to hold, you're going to want to see it not close above that. And you can see right now it is being tested, right? That is your daily resistance. You have hourly resistance right above it, and your daily open right above it. So this is the daily open. Today's opening range, it's yesterday's close, today's open, hourly res, this is daily res. So it needs to hold up right here. It needs to close below 1.13750, which would be this hourly candle. If you close above it, scrap the trade. If you close above that, this is going to be the target. That is the high of day. Let me see here. Yes, this is your high of day. So you can see once you get above the open, you don't have much to go before you smoke the high of day. And that could be what it wants to do. It's only 10 pips away, so there's no bullish entry. Maybe it wants to take out yesterday's high or today's high and then roll over. Either way, it's not really giving us a beautiful setup. This would be an absolute perfect, flawless short entry that I would take right now if this was structured like the SPX. So let's go over here on the SPX and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Let's go out to the daily, shrink it up. Excuse me, I did not mean to do that right in the mic. You can see here the 21 exponential moving average is above price on the SPX. You are below the 50 on the RSI. So if this was how it looked on the euro, then I would be taking that short entry right now. Right now. I would be taking this short entry right now. But like I said, you are bullish on the daily. So be very careful about taking this. Now, if it gets to about 10 o'clock and say you're still printing like piano keys on the hourly and you're still holding that level, then maybe it is a short, right? But you won't know until after the New York Open, and there is a lot of time before that happens. So getting short now could mean you get stopped out. So just wait, you know what I mean? Just be patient. It can still roll over. Just because the 21 is underpriced and just because price is above the 50 on the RSI on the daily time frame does not mean that it will not be a short. It just means that it is structured more to the bullish side, and my rules keep me from taking those shorts. You gotta have rules, right? So just keep an eye on it. It could potentially be a short. I would like it to get under the 21, maybe close below it. That would be down in here. The 21 is kind of floating around this weekly open, right? And that weekly open's down there too, so that could also be why you're not getting any downside continuation on the euro for now. So yeah, not looking for a short there. Let's go talk about the other trade that I took yesterday. That was Hilton. The reason I took this trade, this thing has been absolutely screaming. It's been bullish as can be. Let me stretch it out here. So you can see over here when we had the pandemic, March 2020, that's basically my metric for seeing how strong an asset is compared to what it did once this happened. You can see that once you got back above all-time highs over here, you've been trading a little bit sideways with having a few little breakouts, and now you're back into a range, but you are at a new all-time high. So this was yesterday's candle, or this candle was yesterday's candle, but when I took the entry, this was the data that I was staring at. You can see that this swing high was still intact, and this thing had earnings, and you can see that it missed on earnings. All right, so it was a miss on earnings. You can see how when price opened, it traded right above that swing high. That is when I got short on the swing high. All right, and I took profits yesterday around, it wasn't completely the low of day, but it was really close. The reason I took it is because there was a guy that has almost 1 million subs or 1 million followers on Twitter talking about how this is such an awesome thing to own. Well, it probably has been since March 2020. It's been a fabulous investment, but when retail starts talking about buying something, and then Bloomberg came out with an article as well, that's why he was even speaking of it, was because of Bloomberg. They both had sentence saying how this thing was trading bigger than Zoom, blah, 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 blah. So I was like, all right, well, I'll go ahead and take that short today because chances are it's probably going to go lower now that retail is looking at buying it. If you do want to buy it, I mean, it has been a fantastic stock to own since the pandemic happened, right? Once it found the swing low, it has been a fantastic thing. It's pretty much 3x'd from down there. So fantastic thing to own. They do win a lot on their earnings. They are a good company. They're the biggest hotel chain in America. So, I mean, as long as there is business in America, people will need to buy hotels. That's why Zoom was doing so good when everybody was locked up. But you can see, according to this stock, even though the government and everybody's been talking about the pandemic, once you got above the all-time high, the pandemic was over. The markets are forward-looking, always. So this was when the market was saying, nah, the pandemic's over. Every bit of the stuff that we lost has been priced back in, and we're moving higher. So some stocks did not recover. Jets and stuff like that, they're still on the lows. But, you know, they might come back, they might not. There's a lot of these things are structured, their business is structured wrong. right? They're in debt and all this other stuff. And when you're in a lot of debt, you don't really see it move to the upside. But this is still setting below where it was trading before the pandemic. Most of your airplanes and most of your cruise liners are still doing that, right? But eventually their business will pick back up too, I am assuming. But I do not own any of these. The problem is because every one of these companies are in debt. And when you're in debt, well, let's just go look at AT&T. AT&T is a value stock. Oh, sorry, it's not A, it's T. Apologies. AT&T is a value stock. So basically, whenever you're in a period of growth, people will sell this and then they'll jump back into value when growth stops being the play. And growth has stopped being the play. You can see that all of tech basically come crumbling down. AT&T, there's your pandemic. This thing is trading lower than the swing low of the pandemic. So is AT&T cheap down here? It's cheaper than it was, but they own so much debt. So much debt. They're probably going to go out of business. But it's one of those things. Is this company too big to fail? Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. But it's not doing good. It needs to handle that it needs to do something with that debt. And until it does, it's not a buy, in my opinion. So yeah, that's pretty much what's going on. A lot of value plays out there because of, the tech crunch. As far as ZM is not a value stock. ZM is a growth stock, but it is cheap, right? It has gotten spanked. All that growth it's seen is gone. So this thing has come up almost 70%. So, maybe buy a couple shares of Zoom to hold in your portfolio. I mean, it's at a pretty good spot. Oh, okay, nothing going on over there. Sorry. All right, so back over here to Forex, because that's what we're looking for today. I am looking for the S&P 500 to potentially be a short today. The problem is if the dollar starts to get crushed, then we might see a bullish bounce on this. But we do have a couple levels to look at, right? This is a weekly level down here. This is a weekly level there. So you have daily resistance here, okay? So either we can look for potential shorts at daily resistance, or we can wait for it to get up into the weekly level where you will also be up into your 21 exponential moving average. And that could be a better short entry on the SPX instead of trying to short it where it currently is now. If you do want to short it where it currently is now because you do not have any patience and you cannot wait, then watch this daily ETH level as well as daily resistance. So a spike up into that when the market opens at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time could potentially be an opportunity. All right. So these two levels here, 4469 and 4462, might not see it happen. You're still trading as an inside on the daily. So that is good because that means now you can have a target of yesterday's high or a target of yesterday's low. All right. But with everything else, the dollar's coming off. This will catch support if the dollar has a bad day. More than likely. If the dollar starts to have a bad day, this will probably find support and get a bounce. So we'll keep an eye on it. There is no trade to take on pound USD. Trade was yesterday or last night when you got that big move lower. Right now you're trading at the high of day, so there's nothing to do there. JXY, let's look at that because that's really what I'm waiting for to find support if it is going to be a risk-off move. Here we go, right back to it. Remember what I said I wanted to see? I wanted to see multiple bullish candles, at least two of them. Big one off the bottom and then another big one up in here. That would give me, a little bit of sentiment that we probably are going to see a risk-off move, and that's just not happening. It is just not happening. This thing has been getting crushed, absolutely crushed. So it's at the lows. It's at the lows. We just got to wait and see what happens. It can keep going lower. If it does keep going lower, if it does keep going lower, then we'll be bullish on risk assets. And you have to be bullish on risk assets. So not really feeling the short on this SPY right now. It's kind of looking like it wants to go lower, and it definitely is structured on the daily to look for shorts. I just don't like it where it's currently setting, if that makes sense. You did trade up into here, and that was a resistance test, and you are seeing continuation. So if the short is going to be today, then watch daily resistance. You do not want to see price trade higher than that. If price starts to trade higher than daily res, forget about the short. All right. And that's pretty much it. There ain't really nothing else to talk about on the Forex side that I see. USD CAD is trading inside of a monthly range, and it has been for a long time. These 3 weeks of price action here have been trading inside of monthly resistance and inside of monthly support. And then this middle white line is last month's close. You can see that this is wedging up. It does currently have the structure of the bullish entry being above the 50 and price above your 21. The problem is it cannot get any strength at all. Here is your RSI. So each bounce, even though you are trading back into the same resistance, is getting smaller. So you are losing momentum on the stabs higher. So that could mean that we might see some downside. But as long as you're trading above daily support, let's just put another one on there. I know it's going to get nasty. Right there's daily support. As long as you're trading above that, you could potentially look for long entries. So it's going to have a lot to do with whatever happens with, well, we had CAD inflation yesterday, and you can see that it got a small move, nothing major on yesterday's announcement, and the DXY is pulling back today. So that's why we're seeing this pullback. But down here's daily support. A daily close below that could indicate that you're going to be looking for lower targets and that you're finally going to break out of this monthly range. On the monthly, you're trading as a doji. Yeah. So that's what it looks like on the monthly. So not really a trade to take here either. It's just kind of floating in the middle of the range. You can watch this near-term daily support if you think it's going to go higher today. Watch that level. You want to see that hold as support on the intraday time frame. Here you got it. Boom, boom, boom. It's trying to hold a support. Here's your hourly support. So this can be your little line in the sand for today. If you think it's going to go higher, it does look like you might be looking at a potential bullish entry, right? Nice little swing high up there to target. Where are you? Yeah, okay, so your open is that area as well. So that's your daily open. You've been testing it. Looks like you're coming back into it, but the New York session will tell you if you get a big strong move lower and a close lower, then you're not looking to take that long. As long as you're not able to close below that, then you could potentially see this thing get a bounce, and then that SPX play will probably play out, right? The short side entry on the SPX. If we get some dollar strength, that is. Hi Heath, what are your thoughts on potential market reaction regarding the conflict in the Ukraine? Here's my thing on that. I mean, I don't think the war or that'll happen. All right, either one way or the other. If Russia does invade, I don't know if Ukraine will do anything. I mean, it's one of those things. I don't want to see it happen. I definitely don't want to see America get pulled into another war. Especially seeing how we just left all of our equipment at somebody else's house not too long ago. So we definitely don't need to be doing that again. I don't really have any thoughts on it. I mean, yes, if it turns out to be a disastrous, bloody, like a bloodbath war, then I can see risk markets absolutely coming off. I'm not looking to take shorts based on that. I'm looking to take shorts based on price action. We do have some macro elements out there, rate hikes and yada yada, but we don't know that the market's going to take rate hikes bad either, right? So the market's going to tell us what it wants to do. We just have to stick with it. Don't try to enforce our will on it. Don't look at the macro outlook and say, well, we're about to go into war. Fed is going to hike rates, blah, blah, blah. I'm buying puts. If you can afford to buy them and you're buying them as insurance, that's one thing. But if you're YOLOing, trying to get short the SPY because you think it's going to come off real hard, be careful doing that, because that thing finds support, right? It finds support more often than it doesn't. More often than it doesn't. So that means it typically always goes up. Always goes up. So it's at a potential point where it could be a buying opportunity if the market wants to just shake off everything that's going on. It is structured bearishly, and we can look for bearish entries based on the macro, but we got to trade it smart. We got to wait for price to come to us. Wait for price to come to us. Good morning, everybody. What a choppy day. Yep, it is choppy out there. Be careful for sure. Ben says, joining the Patreon on March 1st. Let's get this done, ladies and gentlemen. It will be there waiting for you. Good evening from down under. Welcome, my friend. Shiba Inu USD on KuCoin, please. Yeah, let's go look at it. Let's see if we can pull something up here. On KuCoin. Let's close this down over here. So you can see that I have a resistance level over there. That resistance is still intact. You haven't closed the daily above it yet. Is it structured bullish? Yes, it is. So, I mean, it's structured bullish just because since Bitcoin broke out of its downtrend, this kind of did too. And it does look like it's basing up to go higher, right? So support is obvious. Excuse me, burping up that Red Bull. Support is support is down here at 28.70. So, I mean, are you looking to buy it right now? Not really. You are into a resistance area. But, I mean, if this holds, you could potentially look to trade it up to this next area of resistance. It is bullish on the day. Just because it's got a top wick on it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to get sold off. But when you see this stuff right here, I don't necessarily like that, right? I would have much rather seen multiple hourly candles pulling back, but there was your bullish pop, and then like 3 hours later or 2 hours later, you completely engulfed that move. It can still find support though. Just find your daily open, watch that. Hourly close below it, then you're not looking to go long anymore, right? Because the bears have won the day, and if that were to happen. So basically this level right here, if you get an hourly close below it, you do have a potential support there in the form of a supply zone or demand zone that was already tested here, and you did get a small bounce from it. So maybe it does hold support here and you can see a bounce, but only be targeting today's high. That's where you would want to take profits. Long term, it looks okay. I mean, the 21 is below price. So, I mean, you're not uber bullish. That's probably the only moving average on the daily that is below price. So it's not like you're super bullish, but you are starting to get more bullish, if that makes sense. Well, you're under the 50's under you, the 100's under you. So I was wrong. Wait, this is the hourly. Sorry. Let's see where it's at. Well, still. Yeah, this thing can absolutely pop. You're above all your major moving averages. All of them. And you're bullish. On the 50, above the 50. So yeah, definitely look for longs. But look for longs into support. See if the daily open holds today. For potential entry today. You'll be watching the daily open. And that's this one right there, that top white line. It is 2 o'clock here. Let's go. 2 o'clock. It's morning, very, very early here. Good morning, good morning. Hi, Mr. Adam Marshall. Michelle, good morning. Good evening, peeps. It's been choppy a few days with the SPX and SPY. Can you check Tesla, please? Yeah, let's go look at Tesla, TSLA. What have you been doing lately, Mr. Tesla? Looks like you're finding support. You're still under the 50. but it does look like it's trying to break out. Some people will call this a bear flag, and I mean, you could look at it like that. So people will be shorting resistance, but it looks like it's going to pop to the upside. You are below the 50, so I mean, you can potentially look at it with a short side bias. Sorry, I just wanted to see that, but I don't want to see them all. I just wanted to see where they all were on Shiba. So, I mean, yeah, people are going to look to get short here because you have daily res right there. This was support, and then you made a higher support. So price is wedging up. So typically what we try to do is we look for another support test, which would be a higher low support. You do not want to buy it right now. I do not know where it is pre-market. It's too early, I think. But if you're trying to buy it, anticipating the breakout, you can get stopped out and you can find yourself buying the absolute high. And you don't want to do that. So if you want to look to buy Tesla, let it pull back again into support. This was a bad day, though. People don't want to buy on when you get days like this. Next day opened. Did you take out the previous day's low? No, you didn't. So on this day right here, this is the day that I would be looking for the bullish entries. So now today or yesterday is traded bullish as well. You're right into resistance, so you don't want to look to buy it. If you want to buy the breakout, well, see, that makes it difficult too because you got this candle sitting above resistance right there. But it's a bearish candle. And that's the level right there. So wait for price to get above 936 and then look for a pullback into it. And then that could potentially be your spot to get long on Tesla. It is more or less a tech play, though. It's a car company, but people they're investing in this for tech and growth. If the SPX starts to get support, your growth stocks will be back in business. You know what I mean? And Tesla is a growth stock. So, and you have pulled back a little bit. This is one of those companies that it's always bullish, right? So there's no point in looking for shorts ever on it. It's just buy it. Anytime it pulls back, look for support and buy it. I do believe if you do get in a nasty risk off environment, then this thing will pull back a little bit harder, but eventually it's going to get bought back up again. Investors will buy these things when they start to get underpriced, undervalued. And Tesla has been trading in a wedge above $900 for a long time. So there is value here. There is value at these prices for Tesla. So people will look to be buying it. I would wait for the break though. That's just me. I would wait for the breakout, then I'd look to buy support on a retest. But Tesla is something that you more or less want to hold. It is a good trading asset. It's just, it's difficult intraday trading it. Sorry on the replay here. No weekly support at current Bitcoin price, which could also be resistance if you look at it from the weekly. Let's go look at it, Danny. And replay is all good. You guys, you know what I mean? You can watch it whenever you get time to watch. I'm never going to fault anybody for not being able to watch the videos. They're out there to help people, right? Yeah. You do have last week's close or open right there, so it is potentially a level. There's old resistance here, so you're trading right at that. But yeah, I mean, that's typically where you want to look to be a buyer at your weekly open if it holds support. So this is that resistance level. I don't know why I have the price on, but I usually get rid of the price line because it does cover up my levels. But there is that old weekly resistance. You can see that it's basically the midpoint of this hourly candle like I was speaking of earlier. So you could hold that support here. Next level will be last week's open. Last week's open. So that could be a potential weekly demand zone. So if price comes down into this could be a buying opportunity. I will be stopped out of my trade if that happens. I will get stopped out because remember, this is where I got long. Right here. Boom. That was my bullish entry. Pop. I did take profits, obviously, on the scale up. I was scaling out on the way up. So that trade paid itself off really good. It was almost a 20% win before I started scaling out. So it was a nice trade. But yeah, so keep an eye on the weekly last week's. Look for 42,416.06 is what I'm trying to say. This level right there. I don't like this level. I don't want to be a buyer there, especially because you're coming in hot. You're coming in with quite a bit of momentum as well. So before I would start to get bullish here, I would want to see one of these hourly candles highs get taken out. This one, preferably. So you'd want to see a pop up, take out the high, and then look to buy a support test. And then you're still against the intraday trend because it is red on the day. You are red on the day. So you are trying to buy falling knife. But that's when you do want to be a buyer. You do want to be a buyer in support levels in a bullish market. Oh, my comment can be ignored. I got your view. I'm sorry, man. I should have just read both comments. When looking out for daily resistance, if an hourly candle closes above it, does that invalidate the short? Not necessarily, because it could be a trap. In a situation like that, you want to look for your inside the day, like inside the daily range. You want to see an hourly resistance level really close to that daily resistance level. But if you do get an hourly close above the daily resistance level, then the next hourly candle will decide if it's going to be a trap and go in your direction if you were looking for a short or whatever. But if the next candle shows you continuation, then you can scrap the trade for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. Because typically what you want to see is intraday price action. The hourly time frames I use them more than anything. Even for trading. I very rarely ever go into a 5-minute time frame to take an entry. I can. You know what I'm saying? It's not that I can't. I don't have to. I look at the hourly. I know what it's going to do. Like right now, what I would do if this was going to look like a bullish opportunity, wait for this candle right now to take out your previous candle's high. Now that does not mean that it will go higher, but that gives you a little bit of bullish sentiment. You can say this might be finding support. So you don't get long once that happens. What you do is you wait for the next hourly candle to open and push lower back into support. Then that's when you want to look to be a buyer. That's when you want to look to be a buyer. Right? So around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, that's when you want to look to be a buyer. If this is going to be a buying opportunity. Since you are red on the day and this looks like this, I mean, people are going to be looking to get short again. They're going to look to short this swing low, and they're going to look to short this swing low if price gets above that first one. If price gets back above this swing low on a closing basis, they're going to look to short up in here because they're looking at it as it's going lower. And it is. But right now, it's still structured bullish. As long as we're trading above the 21 exponential on the daily time frame, I will look for bullish entries. We get below that, then the short is on. False flag. Not sure what you're talking about, KK237. Excuse me. What is a false flag? Oh, you're talking about maybe the war, or not war, but the thing that's going on over in Europe. Video is blur, bro. Sorry, man. That is internet connection. Edom, I don't have that set up. I don't do anything with the Patreon. I like the reason that I use Patreon to go through it is because it makes it easier for me to track who wants to continue to be there and who doesn't. You know what I mean? So Patreon, by using Patreon, it basically keeps track of all that for me. And I did have a bot, but the bot doesn't work for some reason anymore. But there was a bot that would give people access and stuff. So it's just easier to track. It's not that busy. So, I mean, I might be able to do something for you. Just send me an email and I'll get back to you that way. It might not be today, but I will eventually get back to you. I'm about to try changing the quality setting manually. It usually works. It's my internet connection. Once, like I said, I've been fighting with it ever since I started the channel. It's just bad. Really bad. Can you check Nvidia, please? Yeah, absolutely. Nvidia used to be one of my favorite stocks in the world to trade because that thing was always bullish. You could just get long at the open and almost make money every time. Give me 1 second here. Let's get out to the daily so we can see what's going on. Take a top-down view on it. Looks like it found support. And Nvidia is a growth company as well, a tech play. Looks like it found support. This is a weekly time frame. So you did find support. And you did take out this swing high, but immediately was sold off. And you can see this week is going right back up there. So this looks like that's the bullish target. And you might get up there today. So we'll go check it out. Yeah, it looks almost like Tesla. It's basing at resistance. So there really isn't a long entry to take on it. This daily candle, this gap up right here, screws everything. So you're right under resistance, but it does look like it is looking for that 269.25 target. Let's see if we can see intraday price action yet. You can, and you've already taken that out. Boom, boom, and you're selling off. So the target was hit pre-market or post-market yesterday because of earnings. So premium's going to be expensive if you look to get short. They beat on earnings and they sold it. Yeah, you beat both numbers. You beat both numbers and it still got sold off. So be very careful. That was a liquidation run. That was my target, and you can see pre-market you've got well above that. And you're back off again. Let's see where we are in relation to yesterday's open. Let's go back into the hourly. So you're below yesterday's open even. You got daily. You're going to have support down here, more than likely. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't look good. This smoked all the targets to the upside, and but it doesn't look bad either. You are getting some sell side continuation, but you may find support right there at 257.06. The first initial move like that could just be, who knows why they sold it on a beat. But watch 257.06, that could be support. If you get an hourly close below that, then you're coming down here to 251.15. And then ultimately you're going to close that gap. I mean, the gap is filled. Well, no, it isn't. So this is your open. That wick pretty much did fill the gap. That's close enough to considering that gap filled. Yeah, we'll see what happens. Watch 257.06. I'm going to keep this on watch as well today, because this may absolutely be a trade if it finds support. On a beat. So we'll keep that on watch. But yeah, watch 257.06 for support intraday. Thanks, boss, for the explanation. You're welcome, my friend. Yeah, just send me an email and we'll talk about it like over emails. Heath tried to apply your resistance and support video and also watch the intraday resistance and support, but applying it to regular stocks is kind of hard. What would you suggest? I don't understand what you mean by applying it to stocks is kind of hard. So here is daily resistance and that daily target. Daily resistance. Resistance is your bullish candles closes, okay? That's your highest bullish candles close. That is your resistance level. You can use all daily closes, all bullish daily closes as resistance, as potential areas to look for entries. It doesn't always work. That's the thing. You got to be patient. And it's just going to take time. Also, you'll start to see it unfold more. The more you start to use it, you will be able to do it on stocks. You get your main levels, and then you go in and you look at hourlies. Even on the intra time frame stuff, it's still trading there, so you can still use that as support. I wouldn't use this one as support because this one's lower, and this one happened during the trading hours. So that is potentially your support intraday. Open today, a spike down to there on the 5-minute time frame, and then you start to get bullish, that's your entry. But if you keep going lower by closing 5-minute candles under this level, and you keep doing it, then you don't look to buy it. You want to see it hold as support. Intraday price action needs to hold there. It does work on stocks. It's just, you just need more time, more practice. And they're not my levels. It's price makes those levels. That's why we look at them. Entry on Pamel, please. Instable Stock Exchange. Okay. I have no idea what that is. I'm going to type in Pamel. There it looks like it's there. So let's go to the weekly. This thing doesn't have much liquidity in it. It is absolutely bullish as can be. Pamel Electric. It's pulling back a little bit. Your weekly range this week is bullish. Today's Thursday, so you got one more day left on this close. You did take out last week's low. You didn't take it out. You opened below last week's low and instantly got a bounce. So that's what I mean by calling these things traps. Let's mark last week so that way we know how price reacted to that. Man, this thing trades funky. Very funky. But that was resistance, and then it opened lower, but it was immediately bought back up, and you're back into resistance again. Multiple resistance area here. Lots of them. So use the highest one and just watch that. 94.55 is potential resistance. And open above that, look for a pullback into it. Could potentially see continuation. But if you drop back under it, then this is going to be resistance. And you're potentially going to see price head for yesterday's open, which is down there. This thing trades very strange. Like these days here, just opened and went straight up. No downside wicks at all. So this could be getting ready to rock and roll to the upside. It does have days where you do get the downside and then the upside, but it looks like there's pretty much a line in the sand right here at 89.60, 89.50. So that might be a good buying opportunity. And that is also a demand zone, thanks to that bearish candle right there. So any pullback into this region could potentially be buying opportunity. Strategy is still the same. It applies to all markets. Yeah, it does. It does. It absolutely does. It will work on stocks, Forex, cryptos, all of them. Because it's the actual daily ranges. That's what we're looking to capitalize on. We're looking to capitalize on the daily range move. We're anticipating the direction the daily will be. And then we look to take those entries. Let's see what's going on KuCoin real quick. See if there's anything like going to the moon. Everything looks pretty red. There are a couple assets that are in the green, but not much. This one's up 5%. There was another one up 5%. And then pretty much everything else is red. So there's one that's up 5%. Where's the other one at? So It's up 5%. That's Atom. It's up 5%. It's strong on the day. But you are coming into resistance. You have a daily heat level there, and you have daily res there. You can see how price traded right up into that daily resistance, and you're starting to pull back. So intraday, is this a shorting opportunity on Atom? In downtrends, pops and price usually get sold into, so it could potentially be. The problem with it is it's switched its bias. Let's see where we are. I mean, it could potentially be, yeah, because you're trading above the 21 right now, but today's close is what's going to matter. Look at that. Right on the 50. So right in the daily res. This could potentially be a shorting opportunity today. So what we'll do on Atom, I am eventually going to buy some of this and just hold it for a long-term hodl. But I can't do it on this exchange. I might have to do it on Coinbase or something, because I just trade on KuCoin. So I might just buy some just to hold and then trade it on the inverse, or trade it on the future side. But right there is your daily resistance. This is your daily supply. See how you have an intraday hourly candle right there? Now that will mark resistance. So if you're looking for short side setups on this, if you think the pop is going to get sold into, you want to see price trade back up into this and reject. Now, since you've already traded up and then you sold off and took out that swing low, it is an hourly trap, but it's still a trap nonetheless. So it looks like, let's just get rid of the daily supply, or daily supply, and just bring this down to this hourly close here. Since this was a trap, this is now your resistance level. So when price ticks up into 30.26, watch it. Wait for instead of it being 30 minutes left on the candle, you would want to see it pop up in there with like 5 minutes left on the candle, and then start to trade away. That could potentially be your bearish entry. Stop would be right above this swing high. So to plot that out like an intraday trade would look something like this. You get an hourly close above this level here, an hourly close above 30.26, you scrap the trade. And just looking for this swing low wouldn't be enough. So your next area of potential resistance would give you a 3.18 to 1 risk to reward. So you'd want to set it up similar to that. You can find support on the midpoint of this big bullish candle. So that's pretty much like where the 21 exponential moving average is coming in at, right above all this stuff. So this day today is why you're getting that. But we'll see what happens. If Bitcoin stays bearish today, this will be a shorting opportunity. So your 21 exponential moving average is at 29.67. So that is real close to the midpoint of that breakout candle. It's not perfect, but it's close. So this could act as support. But like I said, if Bitcoin keeps trading lower today, then this will you could at least maybe get it back down to $29. So we'll keep Atom on watch as well. All right, guys, it is 6:30, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. AVAX is green. Let me go look at AVAX real quick, and then we'll wrap it up. Let's look at AVAX. It's green on the day. Let's go here and see. No, it is not. You said AVAX is green? It is not. It is red on the day. And you have printed a bearish engulfing as well, an outside day. So this is low. Low came in at 494.500. So you did take out that swing low. No. right on it. You took out the high, and then you hit the low. You didn't take it out. So it isn't yet an outside range candle, but if it takes out that low, it will be. But you are bullish. You are structured bullishly. You are well above your 21 and well above your 50. So you do have bullish momentum. I don't know if I would want to buy it up here, but a pullback down to old supply could potentially be a good spot to look for bullish entries. $90.19. Yeah. So just watch 90.19, 90.019. See if that level holds as support. Yeah. It could hold though. Yesterday's open could absolutely hold a support. It's just you're buying it at the highs. We want to look to buy these things on pullbacks. And one day can be considered a pullback. It absolutely can. So just keep an eye on it, I guess. But it is not green on the day. It is red. Yeah. You got support down here. So I definitely wouldn't be looking to short it down here. What you want to see is you want to see it take out these highs before you look to get long. Because that would just show you a little bit of bullishness, right? You want a little bit of bullishness, and then you can look for the next candle to test this candle's close. That's only if you take out the high. So something like up and then down, that would be the entry. If this is going to hold. It is forming a bit of a range at the highs, so we'll see what happens. All right, guys, with that being said, you have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, drop them down in the comment section after YouTube posts this video, and I will answer them. Make sure you guys trade safe, trade smart, and as always, happy trading, everybody.